I'm Mike Working of the Working Law Firm, and when I'm feeling funky and I'm looking funky and I got my funky shirt on, I turn on Funky Politics, powered by the Kazukian Network.
You are listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kazuki Network. In our studio, we've got Mike Working of the Working Law Firm and Bernal Smith, owner and publisher of the new Tri-State Defender Media Group. Sitting in with Doc Ward, myself, DC. Doc, what's up?
What's up is me, and what's down is your energy. So let's do it like this.
Okay,
This is the segment of the show that we call Gumbo. And for those of you all that have ever eaten gumbo, which is probably everybody in the free world.
I've not had any
Hopefully.
I've not had any.
Well, that's because you got the special diet. You can only eat like tuna and crackers.
And chitlins.
Wow. Anyway, the segment is called Gumbo. For those of you all who know what gumbo is, it is a mixture of several good things.
Yes.
Several good things with one consistent base. I'm not going to get into culinary arts today because there's no need for that. But I will say sometimes you have okra mixed in the roux.
Oh, God, I hate
Sometimes
okra.
you have sassafras, or other people call it filet, and you have other things from time to time. But in addition to this constant that we have is, of course, me and DC, he's the low energy ingredient here. And we have some very
sassafras.
Well, you said it. I didn't. So what we do have is some very good ingredients here. We have Mike Working of the Working Law Firm as opposed to the non-working law firm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then we have Bernal Smith, the owner, CEO, president, all that it is to the new Tri-State
Publisher, printer,
Media
the
Group
guy who runs
Incorporated.
everything.
And we're going to do something a little bit different here now because we're not doing interviews. We already know who these guys are. I'm sure you know who they are. But what we want to do is talk about the issues of our day in this segment called Gumbo. Our first special ingredient being our world today and the alternative facts of our world.
Wow.
But now you're in media. Now I've been watching Alternative Facts. The tone was set.
Right.
With the crowd at the Obama. No, excuse me, Obama. See, I'm still saying that.
Wow. Did you just say
That's
Obama?
good.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was because it was the difference between the distinction between the Obama inauguration where you saw all these people
and the
Trump inauguration where you saw all this concrete.
It was the biggest crowd ever.
Yeah, the biggest crowd ever. Right. And Sean Spicer, who offered alternative facts. But it goes on. Yeah. It goes on. It's not just the alternative facts of that. It's everything that seems to come out of this.
Kellyanne Conway. Every time she opens her mouth.
The purveyor of alternative facts. I mean, really.
She came up with the term.
Yeah, I said, well, she's the person fact. She named it. Alternative facts for alternative world. But there are even more serious issues, I think, that you were talking about as it relates just to how we are right now in our society in terms of kids and education and everything else. What were you saying about it? I can't remember.
Well, what we were talking about, first of all of these things in terms of social justice and how does this administration fit in the 21st century? Bernal and Mike, right. I mean, I know you guys, you live this every day because you work this stuff every day. Where do we go tomorrow or where do we go today? Let's talk about, I don't want to talk about tomorrow. Where do we go today in terms of how do we convince America, the entire country, that your education secretary is there for you, number one, because she's going to support public education and not support school choice. Well, look, school choice is cool, but can we shore up public education first? Mike, Bernal,
I'll jump in here. I mean, clearly one of the, I think, protectors, things that undergirds a free democratic society is a educated, and I think our forefathers understood this when they created, public education or the platform or the infrastructure for what we know to be public education to come into place. So that being said, if you have somebody at the helm who essentially comes in with a well-known
track record for
dismantling public education,
or at least being against it,
right? Or being against it, and reallocating resources from the traditional public system. Which again, when we look at it, no matter what you do, if you're Vouchers, whatever else, the majority of the kids are going to be served by the traditional public school system.
Right.
So when you start pulling kids and resources and cherry picking, you leave the worst of the worst in an environment that's underfunded, undersupported, and you create a what I would consider to be a even larger school to prison pipeline.
But are they really bad kids, or are they just kids that the system's not reaching?
You see, it's not about the kids. You know,
you're saying worst of the worst. I don't think
when I say worst of the worst, I mean I'm talking about in terms of academic performance. Let me just say the kids that are.
Those
so when I say
achieve,
those that are struggling to achieve, not that they can't achieve, but those that are truly struggling to achieve and need the greatest amount of resources to help them bridge the gap.
Well, Mike, let me ask you this question. We're just talking. Hold on.
But then
Mike, I got to. When we talk about education in America, and with respect to, and I'm going to talk about black and brown children, we talk about equity and then we talk about equality. If the system was built on an equality basis, but we've never gotten there, when do we get to equity?
I consider the voucher issue to be huge, and my wife is a teacher in the public schools. My mom is a teacher in the public schools. My brother, his wife, my aunts, my uncles, everyone is a teacher in the public schools. I'm big into public school education, and I'm a proud Democrat, and I think that Democrats are messing up on vouchers. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason that Democrats are messing up on vouchers.
How they messing up?
I watched the debate all the way back to Al Gore and George W. Bush. And Al Gore said, I'm going to go in. I'm going to put all the best teachers in school. I'm going to rebuild it. And then we're going to make that school good over time. The kids that are in school now need education and resources now. I consider vouchers to be a matter of contract. If the government is supposed to provide you with a proper school, and in your district they are failing, they need to give you your money back.
Wow.
Now, what I have a problem with Republicans with vouchers is they are trying to find a way for rich people who already have educational opportunity to get their money back to go subsidize their elite private school education or religious education. The people that should be helping vouchers are people who are in non-optional, non-magnet schools in South Memphis. I've been to Westwood High for 5 murders in the last 6 or 7 years. Wow. I have kids who get up at a probation violation, and I say, how far did you go in school? And they say 4th grade. 4th grade? Yeah, I dropped out. You didn't drop out in 4th grade.
We dropped out.
How do your parents stop taking you to school in 4th grade? My kid's in 4th grade. He can't drive to school.
Right.
No.
But are you saying that those kids need vouchers? Or does the school system just need to provide the resources?
If those kids have a voucher, those kids have a bus ride to a school that will take them. You know, the Catholic schools provide the most affordable education, and if we look at other cities who have had the same urban problems that we have, places like Cleveland, places like Detroit, vouchers are saving inner city children from a life that is determined for them before they were born.
But look at what the other side of the voucher is doing. Just on what you just said. You said Catholic schools have the most effective, affordable education that's out there, or the effective method for providing it. But most of those Catholic schools that are providing that are providing it in the communities where these kids live. Right. The biggest issue I think is going on with school right now, and with the voucher program, is not necessarily that about the kids. Is that when you're shipping this kid across town, you're in essence killing that community where that kid comes from.
Right.
And all you have to do, you talk about South Memphis, is to look at how the South Memphis today became the South Memphis is today. You know, it's because several neighborhoods, we had kids that were extracted from that for magnet programs. No one's invested in neighborhoods, so nobody's coming back after they go off to college or wherever and work for whatever corporation.
Exactly.
They're not coming back.
You're just not talking about. You're talking about South Dallas. You're talking about Cleveland Heights. You're talking about Houston. You're talking about the 3rd to 5th ward. Because I think what he's saying though is, and I'm not a voucher pro. I think he's saying opportunity. Now I'm not going to close the door on school choice right now. Now, this lady who's the SOE, who's the Secretary of Education, I'm not so high on her, but I'm not going to close the door on school choice. I don't believe that all charters are working. Do we need something that undergirds the entire system? I think we do. So what do we do, though?
So this is what I say. I mean, I'll just full disclosure. I'm a co-founder of a charter school.
That's right.
You know, so
a successful charter school, by the way, too.
Successful charter school and still on the board. But here's the thing: charter schools, vouchers, none of that is the panacea, if you will, of solution for public education.
Right.
Here's the reality: you know, it may be okay to give some of those folks their money back, but ultimately, we got to look at the greater good. So I think when we say that, then we give up on saying that, on the responsibility of those leaders in education to fix the school that is in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
You know, that should be where the real focus is. There should not be a failing school in this child's neighborhood that he or she has to try to escape from. You know, if we're offering Mandarin Chinese and advanced math at White Station Middle School, but over here in the heart of South Memphis and in the heart of Binghamton and Leicester and these other schools, where we barely offering. We barely can scrape together to get a Spanish class together. So why is there such a disparity in terms of the education that's provided at each school? To me, we are ushering in. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that these schools fail.
One of the things that I'm really in agreement with you on that, Bernal, is that we have allowed our political parties and our government to sell us a false narrative.
Yes. Right.
It's not a choice of whether we should give kids in failing school districts a voucher or whether we should rebuild the schools. We should be doing both.
Yeah.
If there are people who want to stay and being involved in their neighborhood school and there are kids who get vouchers, then there's less kids in the failing school and they get more attention from their teachers. The problem is that when we give people vouchers and they go to some other private school, then we close the school and we shuffle them over to another school that's also overcrowded, where they also don't get the teacher to student ratio.
And what happens to that community where that kid came from?
And exactly. Then a high school football game in a neighborhood is one of the most unifying things that there is. I mean, to be in a parking lot where people are frying fish or doing whatever, cooking barbecue right before a game. I mean, there's like no better event to be at.
But you're asking the taxpayers to support a school that doesn't have the requisite number of students to even have a considerable program.
But it's got the requisite number of students in the community. Those kids are just going elsewhere.
No. If you've got a school that's built for 2,000, but you only have 200 kids, what do you do to that school, Mike? What do you do to it, Bernal? Do you let it continue with 100 teachers? No, you don't. You have to shift resources.
But that's not
where those children go.
Not necessarily the case with every school that's closing. Right. Some of these kids,
some of these schools are failing.
Some of these schools
are under-enrolled.
Some of the schools that have closed, at least where we are now, there are kids in the neighborhood, but they're going elsewhere.
Well, can I ask
because they're going to magnet schools.
So are they over-enrolled? Are you telling me those schools that are closing are over-enrolled? No, you're not telling me that, because
are you going to
that's
answer,
not the truth.
So you're going to answer the question for me and ask it too?
That's why this is always funky politics, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
That's why it's always funky politics, because I'm funkier than he is, and he doesn't.
I will not dispute that. I will not dispute that. But what I'm saying is you got kids that are going elsewhere, going to magnets. And when they go to those magnets, it takes resources away from that community, not just from the sense of what you have now, but what that community is going to be tomorrow. Because there's nobody to come back and invest in and reinvest.
Right, because the dollars always follow the kid, right?
Right, that's correct.
The dollars follow the kid, but and so again, I go back to let's understand. I'm a product of Memphis City Schools.
Yeah,
Westwood Elementary, Havenview Junior High, Whitehaven High School. I look at the kids at my education and understand that hey, how did we go from what I got to what we have now?
Wow.
That's the question.
Wow. Yeah. You are listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kazuki Network. In our studio, we are always visiting with the most groundbreaking people in the world. Mike Working of the Working Law Firm, and Bernal Smith, CEO and publisher of the new Tri-State Defender Media Group.
I'm Taquilla Banks, Executive Vice President with TNTP and a member of EdLock.
This is Robert Jackson, National Speaker, Educational Consultant, and author.
And you're listening to Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
Funky Politics. Powered by the Kazuki Network.
Get funky with it.